told you that the best way to attract the man of your dreams is to focus on scaring men away? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, and if you don't know who we are, my name is Matt.
And I'm Kelly.
And we help single women have the love that they ultimately want. So with that said, let's get into it.
So there's a good way to do this and an unhealthy way to do this. So we're going to talk about it. But what we find when we're coaching women is that a lot of women are afraid of rejection. They want men to like them. And that can cause them to actually self-abandon. And this is such a natural human thing. Obviously, no one really wants to get a no. They don't want to not be liked. And especially for women who kind of are more anxious in their attachment style, this can come out even more. And I know this used to be a big thing for me, right? I'd be on a date with a guy and I'd be thinking, does he like me? Does he like me? Do I look pretty? What is he thinking? And it would drive me insane. And because I was so focused on him liking me, I would just do anything to make him like me. I'm like, let's not scare him away. But of course in that, I self-abandoned and I got resentful and I didn't even feel seen or loved if we got into a relationship because I never showed my true self. So if you relate to that, a way to avoid all that stuff and attract an amazing man is to actually change your mindset from does he like me to do I like him, and how can I be truly authentic on this date, so much so that it is going to scare the wrong man away.
When we work with women on our website, if you were to look at our website, you'll see that we have a form for someone to fill out before they start working with us. And we're very clear about who we want to work with. And we have questions in place that if someone isn't in alignment with who we want to work with, they are not able to work with us. So for example, one of them is we're Christian, we speak about Jesus and prayer and God in our programs. And if someone's like, I'm absolutely not available for that, then when they put that in the form, it will not allow them to join our program because we don't want to be hiding ourselves. We don't want to be unexpressed about what we truly believe. And
can I say that's for the best of us and our program and for the person who we scare away with that potentially.
Yeah. So what this might look like for you is we look at your dating app, if you're on dating apps, do you hide around what it is that you want? Do you hide around what it is that you believe? Because there is an underlying belief that if I was authentic about who I am, what I'm going to stand for, what I value, then that won't allow men to want to be with me. So I'm going to abandon those aspects of myself to ensure that I get connection. And you may get connection, but is it the connection that you ultimately want? We might be able to have a lot more women join our program if we aren't firm in what we believe. However, there is a cost to that. The cost to that is we're working with women that we don't actually want to work with, right? And it's the same thing. You might get more people, more men saying, I want to go on a date with you, but you may waste a lot more time because the quantity of men doesn't relate to the quality of men that you want to be dating. So it's far better to go on dates with 2 men a month who are amazing than 10 dates with men who are like, it's a little bit of compatibility there, right?
And then if you think about just logically, in whatever city you live in, whether it's bigger or smaller, there's a lot of single men, right? A high number of single men. And you only want to attract and get into a relationship with one. So logically, you're gonna have to go through men who aren't a fit, who you don't like, who they aren't aligned with you. And so you have to get acquainted with the idea of saying no, maybe hearing no, and that is uncomfortable, but it's also such a good and important growth piece in the dating process that's going to help you in your future relationship.
Yeah. So also know, so that's the before going on dates. And when you are on dates with someone, it's also looking at where do you not tell the entire truth? Where do you tell little white lies? For example, let's say you want to get married, and let's say that you want to have kids, and the guy asks you, so what do you want to, like, what do you want? You're like, I'm just kind of just seeing where all, just on dating, I'm just dating for fun, or I don't know what it is that you may say, but if you hide what it is that you truly want because you want to maintain or get connection, that's being inauthentic because, again, there's an underlying belief that if I'm inauthentic, I'm going to get connection. Compared to scaring men away looks like, I want to get married and I want to have a family one day. right? So standing in what it is that you want it may scare men away, but it's going to scare the the wrong men away.
And there's also a sneaky way that we can avoid being authentic by asking a man the question first.
Yes.
Like, well, what do you want? So let me see what he wants, and then I'll kind of mirror that subtly or exactly. And all that is just a no. You really want to practice being vulnerable on a date. I remember when I was dating, because this is something I used to struggle with, if they said something and I knew my answer would go against that in some way, it felt like ripping off a giant Band-Aid on my forehead to say the thing that was authentic, but I knew they might not like.
Yes.
But surprisingly, honestly, every bad reaction in my brain I thought I'd get, I never did, because the men respected me for having my own opinion and for being solid in that. It actually attracted men more than it pushed them away, ironically, but it did ultimately do this job of scaring the wrong men away and finding the right one. And I'll just say one other thing. Like, when I met Matt, we were so compatible in so many ways, and he was so much of what I wanted. It freaked me out. And so my survival brain wanted to go into, how can I keep him? I need to keep him. And so, of course, that thing kicked in. I don't want to scare him away. So it took a lot of work and like self-discipline to continually bring up the conversation I did not want to have, to say the thing that might end our connection. But ultimately, that's what built the foundation for the great relationship that we have now.
Truth. Yeah, absolutely. So also, just to go back to something that you said, what we're not saying is that you can't ask questions to the guy, like, what is it that you want? What we are saying is you can ask the questions and at the same time just be mindful when or if you self-abandon your truth to maintain connection, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you want to be mindful of.
Yeah, like if you're using the questions, are you using the questions as like a avoidance tactic? So you want to kind of ask yourself and reflect if that's the case.
Yeah. So were you about to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe going into the unhealthy way to scare men away.
Yes.
Unless you want to say something else about that. Okay. So that's a healthy way to scare men away. The unhealthy way to scare men away, this can also be an avoidance tactic, right? If you're on the first date and you make it like an interview and you purposely are aggressively telling him exactly what you want, and you kind of have the energy like, this is what I want, and if you don't want it, like, get away from me.
No pacing.
No pacing.
Yes.
Because sometimes we do that because we want to avoid pain, and so it makes sense. But it is important in this process still to like go slow and steady in the dating process, have discernment, and have those conversations, those scary conversations or whatever, authentic conversations, sporadically. Not that you have to purposefully spread them out, but don't force them all into the first date because that's an unhealthy way to scare men away.
Yes, and also on dating apps, what that might look like in an unhealthy way is it's like saying, what is it like? It's like is it a porcupine? No, not a porcupine. What's the thing that's like, it will, if you touch it, it will hurt you?
A porcupine?
Is it a porcupine?
Yeah,
okay,
I think
porcupine.
so. Yeah.
So don't be like a porcupine. What that might
Yes.
look like is on dating apps, for example, if their profile says, if you are someone who is not Christian, then don't message me, right? Something along those lines. You better say something?
No, I just totally agree.
Yes. So it's more so just saying that this is what I stand for, right? This is who I am, rather than if you are X, Y, and Z, don't message me.
Yes.
Subtle difference, but it makes a very big difference, right?
And this gets into femininity and healthy femininity.
Yes.
So something that we teach our clients is that healthy femininity is like a ripe peach. So like a ripe peach, there's two parts to it. On the outside, it is soft and sweet. And on the inside, it is strong. And it's really important that in your femininity, you have both, right? You can reveal your heart. That's the softness, the sweetness. You can be vulnerable. And then that strength is your wisdom and discernment, your ability to be authentic in the face of a scary conversation, right? It takes like holding yourself through that. And so when I think of the porcupine, it's kind of like you have the peach opposite, where it's like the shell leads and you're trying to hide the softness of your heart. So actually you want to lead with the softness of your heart that's held with your inner strength. And so how that looks like in conversation is that, yeah, you don't try and poke them and attack them with your porcupine spikes, but that you reveal your heart, which can take some healing. It can take some skill development if you've never done that before, but it's so possible to get that right pitch in a healthy place.
Yeah. So one last thing, I'll just talk about the energy behind this for a second. That's going to be really helpful for you. So we have our retreat, and the last time that we did our retreat, we'll just give you a little exercise that we did. We got all of the women who joined the retreat, I think it was like 16 or 18 of them. And during the lunch break, we got them to go out in public and get quote unquote rejected. So they had to make an invitation through the form of asking for something that was scary for them, one that was easy, and then one that was incredibly difficult for them. But the purpose was not to get a yes. The purpose was to show up in a way where they were able to get a no from them. So if they came back from the lunch break and all they got was yeses, then they didn't complete it. They had to get a no. And right, they had to scare men away in a way that had them receive a no. So they went out there, and there were some beautiful stories. Women came back, and just to share some of the yeses that they got, we had women that got tattoos.
Free,
totally free, right? Just through them saying like, this is what I want.
They're bold requests.
They're bold requests. We had women who had a free photo shoot. What are some other things that
I think one girl asked the guy to tie her shoe.
Oh, yeah.
He did.
Yeah, he did.
One girl got a ride on the back of someone's
scooter.
moped.
Yes.
So those are some of the yeses that they got, and they were shocked.
Yes.
They're like, I didn't think he'd say yes to that, but it was so fun.
Yes. So hear us on this. What was most important was them showing up in a way where they had the intention of what they wanted, but they were unattached. So really hear that for a second. They were still having a request, and they could have asked a request from a place of, please get a yes, I really want this, I really need this, or it's all good. If you say no, I'm actually winning here, I'm actually completing what I just got invited to do. So it was high intention, low attachment. So what we want to point this back to around scaring men away. What you want to do is you want to lead with, this is what I want. I want marriage. I want a family. I want to have kids one day. And I am unattached to the person in front of me wanting the same thing. Because if I'm unattached to them wanting the same thing or having to be what I want them to be, then I'm going to show up in an authentic way where I'm not abandoning my authenticity to get connection.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if we just zoom out a little bit further, one more thing that I'll add is the ability to do this is connected to the trust that you have in God.
Yes.
Right? Because you have to let go of control.
Mm-hmm.
You have to seek out rejection, which is scary. And you have to trust that you will not scare the right man away, and that's bigger than you. That's bigger than you. And that was really big in my journey with Matt too. Every time I brought up a conversation of like, oh my gosh, is this going to end the connection? Am I going to be okay? Could I find another guy like him? All this stuff. I would just give it to God and say, God, I trust you. If he's the right man, this will be okay and we'll be compatible. And that was the case. So
what does that look like? Because women might not know our whole story. What was an example of that?
Oh, an example of when I did that? Okay, well, one of my favorite examples is we were dating. We were, going on dates and getting to know each other. And it got to a point where I was really clear that I wanted to be in a committed relationship with you. And when I had this realization that I wanted to be in a committed relationship, I immediately started sweating because I knew that it meant I had to tell you, because I was in this practice of being authentic and sharing what I wanted. And it was terrifying, but basically I ended up doing it. And what happened was, do you want to share, like, from your perspective, or I'll say, and you can correct me if I don't include something, but basically he needed some time to think about it, and it started some conversations of back and forth of, well, what about this? What about this? I'm not sure if I'm quite ready yet. And all those conversations were okay. Ultimately, I really had to get super clear that I just wanted commitment. There wasn't really an in-between for me. I needed this, or I just needed to end the
Yes.
connection, which is so scary because again, you were everything I wanted. I literally could like imagine our kids running around our house. Like it was so clear. And I just had a conversation with God before really laying that out clearly for you and just said, I just trust you. I trust that there is another man who's better for me because this is too important. Needing commitment and needing my heart to feel safe is too important to just like push to the side like I have in the past. And I know what happens when I do that. It's not good. And so then I said it to you and I was willing and did let go of our connection and trusted God. And I felt so much, even though it was really hard getting there, like I felt a lot of peace in that. And in me doing that is really what had Matt realize that he wanted to commit, which, we could talk about so many things within that, but that's a practical way that played out.
Yeah, so just to summarize all of this for everyone listening or watching right now.
Yeah.
It's being willing to scare men away. It's also willing to walk away. Because Kelly didn't just say, I'm going to walk away. She did. And I was like, hold up. What do you mean you're going to walk away? Like, I think that I'm awesome. What do you mean you're just going to walk away? You're going to find someone else? So I've never had someone actually do that because I was just in my ego. I thought that I was just awesome. No one's going to.
But you were awesome.
Yeah.
It was hard.
Yes. And then she was like, no, let's not do this anymore. I'm like, less than 24 hours later, I'm like, I don't want to lose this amazing woman. All right, let's do this. And I'm so happy that she was willing to walk and did walk because it allowed me to be like, no, I want this, Brad.
Yeah. And one more thing I'll add to that is like my willingness and my practice of scaring men away, it also called us both forward.
Yes.
Like it called me forward to be a woman who would walk away.
Yes.
Trust me when I say I was never that woman in the past. And then it called you forward to commit. And like that transformed our lives in so many beautiful ways. And now we're married, we're pregnant. And it's kind of based off of that initial commitment that we both stepped into because I was willing to scare him away.
Yes. Yeah, and with that, because you mentioned that you hadn't done that before, you also had community, you had people behind you like guiding you as well.
I had mentors, I had coaches, I had a therapist, I had friends, and I needed support from all of them because that was not easy to get there and it was not easy to hold that. And so that's incredibly important. Yeah,
so if you are someone who hears them back, that would be incredibly scary. I don't even know how we'll do that. Or you're struggling just with the dating process, then we would love to guide you. We have an entire program. We will be there side by side with you through the entire process of meeting someone, but also when you meet someone, being a stand for what it is that you want, being willing to walk away, and also working on the skills needed for you to have a healthy relationship. Because getting into a relationship is the easy part. Getting into a relationship, staying in a relationship, having that relationship grow and thrive over time, that's totally different. So we will work with you through the entire process. If you want to know more about it, just go ahead and click below. You'll see our program, Frequency of Love, that will show you. And you'll be able to just learn a little bit more and all the women that we've worked with. So go ahead and check that out.
Yes.
But with that said, we would love to know what you thought of this video. Go ahead and leave a comment down below. Let us know what was the biggest takeaway. We'd love to hear it.
So with that said, we'll wrap up this video. Thanks for tuning in and we'll see you next time.